Hi, Dave here with the Construction Foundation of BC. Just another chapter of the Dave's Workshop interview sessions. Today we have with us Dustin. Before we get started, Dustin, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
I'm part of the Okanagan Nation. From the Snuneymuxw Nation, which is just south of Karamias. I've been an electrician since 2012.
Nice.
And I'm now a Red Seal Electrician.
Right on.
Yep.
So, did you always so you're working up north right now as a maintenance electrician, is that correct? Or?
Yep. I work for Bouchier in the oil industry.
So could you share with us, what your journey looked like to get where you are today? Or?
Yeah, so I started with a similar program. It was with SECA in Penticton. I took every course they offered, like carpenters, electricians, and plumbers. And for some reason, electricians just stuck out for me because the instructor told me that not very many people knew how to do electricity or electrical or anything like that. But I was taken by that. So 2012, I finished that course, and then I worked for Classen Electric in Penticton, and he was great. He was really great. He taught me a lot. I worked for another company based out of Kelowna, but there was a project down here in Coston, and they had the contract for building the band office down here in the Snuneymuxw, and that took us like 1.5 to 2 years, and that was all I would say commercial work. So that was like a whole nother world for me. Form work, EMT work, pulling cable. That was the first time I seen blueprints, and they taught me how to read blueprints and kind of higher voltage than your regular 120, 240, getting into three-phase and all that boring stuff. And yeah, so I've gone from residential, commercial, back to residential, and then I went back up north into the industrial sector.
So back to, you mentioned that you had some training through SECA. So were those just sort of intro courses into different trades, or was it basically or more safety training programs?
That gave me a taste of every trade, essentially, and it taught me the basic schooling for each trade.
So it was a bit of an explore program that you took.
Yeah.
Well, good for you that you sort of went out and tried to figure out what you want to do, and yeah, electrical, man. If you're if first of all, if your interest is there and you're getting good marks, that's a tough trade, yeah, it's pretty exciting that early in your career that you actually you got a taste of, like you said, the residential, commercial, and industrial. So it helped open your eyes that there's a lot out there to learn and a lot of different things to do to challenge you, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to say too, like going through high school, I was not the greatest at math, and it was like my least favorite subject. And then once I started my trade, I was like, yeah, cool, right? And then I went to school, and there's like tons of math. I was like, whoa. But I pushed through it, and because the end game was I wanted to be successful, that's where I wanted to be. So I got through it. I learned it.
That's so important what you said about the math, especially in electrical. But I mean, the trades is all about math, right? But
yeah.
You mentioned don't be discouraged coming out of high school that you're not good at something, because you found something you enjoy, and when you go back to the math concept, now you have a practical application for the theory and the math, so it makes sense a lot quicker for you, right? And it's more relevant. So yeah, that's an awesome thing to share with people that, don't be afraid just because you come out of high school and you're bad at something. If you want to do something, just, obviously you had to work your butt off to get where you are, but man, that's the key to life, is finding something you enjoy. And, sounds like you're on the right path there, which is pretty cool. You mentioned high school. Did you take any shop classes in high school or was it sort of when you got out of high school that's when your journey sort of started into the trades?
My journey didn't start until early 20s, because after high school, I actually enrolled in a music program in Kelowna. So I tried that out for a couple years, and then I kind of was stagnant for maybe 6 months. And, my mom kicked me in the butt and she's like, all right, you got to do something. I was like, okay. So went to the SECA program and found my way. I went through the ITA apprenticeship program. I didn't get registered until after SECA. And then so I went through first year training, and that opened my eyes to like just everything electrical. So like they kind of hit you with the wall. So you just like boots on the ground running.
It's
They give you
overwhelming
everything.
when you jump into it, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit. But I sat down. I sat down at this very table, and I put my headphones on, and then I would read, and then I would take notes, and then like the whole world was just going on around me, like everybody in the house, whatever. But I had my headphones, I had my textbooks, my code book, and my notebooks and the highlighters, and I just zoned out, and I just learned. Just
That's
repetition,
awesome.
repetition, repetition. Yeah.
Awesome. And it's incredible. You found, having to doing your studies at home and whatnot, you found that space and how to isolate yourself and get into that. That's pretty cool. And obviously, a big part of why you're so successful today is being able to do that discipline and hard work. And like I said, finding that means of doing it, a mind over matter.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
so then, okay, part of apprenticeship, I know, you have to, you go to school for a bit, so then you went back into work, and then so many hours you went back into school, or?
Yeah, you can do that. So first year I did that, and then I worked, and then I went to, I did second year after that, and then right when I got out of second year, so I worked for a company in Penticton, and then I worked for another company in Oliver, actually building the prison, the Oliver detention facility. And then so I went there, and then I was supposed to go for third and fourth year during that time when we were building the prison. And then my employer asked me to stay because I just knew so much about what was going on there. They were just like really happy with what I was doing, and there just wasn't enough personnel that really knew what was going on. So I was like really happy about that. So I was like, okay, I'll stay. And then so after that project was done, I did my third and fourth year back to back, and then third and fourth year back to back, and then I worked for a bit, and then I got signed off on my hours, and then I got signed off on my Red Seal.
So the program's a bit flexible then. I mean, I know the ideal situation is you go to school, you work a bit, go to school, but yeah, I mean, you're on a big project like that, obviously you're an asset to your employer. So you worked a bit longer, got your hours in, and you went back to back school, which is kind of nice, right? For
Yeah.
For your situation, that opportunity was there for you, which is cool. And I'm sure it was tough to be into school for 14 weeks in a row too, right? Yeah, that's a bit of a long
That was
haul.
pretty tough.
Yeah. So I know the fourth year they prepare you to write. So you wrote as soon as you got out, and
Yeah.
did you got it the first time through, or you?
Yeah. No, I got it first time through.
Good for you, because I know how tough
Yeah.
that exam is, and obviously, were you at the Okanagan in college, or were
Yeah,
in
Okanagan College
Penticton?
in Penticton. Yeah.
So they prepared you well for the exam, and obviously all the hard work and experience you had
Yeah.
paid off, and awesome. So then, so your ticket, you've been moving a bit around with the job. So is that the end of your education, or no? You mentioned that you're taking
Yeah.
you're furthering your education again to more on the safety side, or
Yeah. Yeah. So the field safety representative is kind of, I wouldn't say the last step. I would say it's like um
the next step.
up it's the next step. It's the next step. But yeah, it's the next step. And then so once I get that, I can do my company, and then once I don't even want to stop there. I want to keep learning. Like if I can go through like business school and all this other stuff, like, but that's like in the future type deal. I'm right now I'm just working on my FSR, and then
One
once
step at a time, eh? That's awesome.
yeah.
But you can see
Yeah.
it that there's so much more potential. Eh? If you want to stop where you're at, that's cool. If you want
Oh
to keep
yeah.
going, you can just keep climbing and just expand in the different areas of the trade. And like I said, you want to take some business courses that will lead right into self-employment. And I was glad to hear that you say you like to go back and wire the houses up in your communities and whatnot. That's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
yeah, so awesome. So the education it's a lifelong learning process, and the further you want to go, and I can relate to you that once you find something you enjoy, like you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier that you weren't the best at school and whatnot, but once you find something you enjoy, the learning becomes easy, right? And you sort of get a thirst for knowledge, and it just motivates you and
Right.
pushes you forward, eh? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you most proud of?
Most proud of. Uh Definitely my certificate. I worked really hard for it and I got it, and it's a nice one. Like I carry a little card of it in my wallet too. Just getting that certificate is just like what I'm super proud of doing, because like as far as I know, I'm the only Aboriginal uh Red Seal electrician on the Southern Okanagan.
Congratulations. That's pretty cool stuff, man. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm like you, and I still am to this day. I'm very proud of my Red Seal. And
Yeah.
this is actually a sticker, and the next time I see you, I'll actually give you one. Um, but I didn't. There's actually a pin you can get, and I didn't get my pin till last year. They didn't when I got my ticket back in the day. They didn't give the pins out no more, and actually I got one. So I waited about over 30 years for my pin, but I've been very proud of that my whole life. And like yourself, that was one of my proudest moments in my life. Probably out of the top 5 in my life is getting that Red Seal certification. So looks good on
Oh
you, and
yeah.
that's really cool that you're the first in the area, or in the First Nation in the Okanagan, or one of the first anyways,
Yeah.
to get that qualification. So that's should be really proud of that. That's pretty cool. Um, okay, so who and what was your biggest influences, and what inspires you now?
My biggest influence during my entire apprenticeship was definitely my mother. She pushed me along the way, the entire way. Um, but now my inspiration now is my daughter. We just celebrated her first birthday, so everything I do from now on will be for her. So that'll be getting a company set up to where someday she could run it, would be awesome. But everything I do will be for her. She's my biggest influence right now.
Nice to hear. And I think most of us guys, our biggest influence was our mom, and it was usually a kick in the ass that pushed us out the door to get our crap together, eh? But
Yeah.
okay, so life's a bit of a roller coaster. Like obviously, or did you come across some stumbling blocks? And if you did, how did you get over them or around them? Or
Oh, roadblocks. There's a ton. There's like apprentice hazing, which is like the worst, but it's something you have to go through, but like I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, do you really got to do it? But it's something I went through apprentice hazing, but it's tough to get around.
The
Um,
percentage of people that drop out after the first year is very, very high in apprenticeship
yeah,
training. Once you get to the second year, but you're right, it's about that hazing, and really, I taught the apprenticeship training for 8 years, and it's a tough go. It's so there's so much information, it's overwhelming, right? But yeah, if you can push yourself through, gain a little bit of information as much as you can, and then as you
yeah,
start working, it starts to make a bit more sense. But yeah, that first year is tough, and yeah, good for you
yeah,
pushing through,
yeah,
right? So yeah,
yeah.
so
And
that's a big hurdle, and that's the beginning of your training, right? So
yeah, that's first 2 years. That's
yeah,
pretty tough.
anything else come to mind, or just leave it at that, or
Uh, there's been a little bit of racism, but like nothing I couldn't handle. But every company is really good out of it these days. Good about it these days. There is a zero tolerance with companies I work with now.
nice?
So like if there's any, you just report it, and buddy will get a suspension or he'll be walking.
Well,
So companies are really good about it these days, but it is really tough. Like that you go into like the bathroom stalls or whatever, and there's still that graffiti on there about it. But I'm just like, whatever, man.
well, thank
But
you for sharing that with us.
yeah,
And like I said, good for you for pushing through that and getting beyond that and or dealing with that. That's pretty powerful of you um, and the people you represent, right? So that's yeah. And I guess once again, thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, so what message or advice do you have to inspire and inform individuals of all ages as they explore career options for the future?
uh, I would say definitely keep your head up. It it gets easier. It's pretty tough to go through an apprenticeship, but it does get a lot easier. The more knowledge you know, the better. You you will get to know a lot about whatever trade you're going through, but get through it, get to that finish line. One finish line at a time, right? You can do it.
Nice. Okay, so there's one question that every young person is going to ask and wants to know, and how much money can a tradesperson or a maintenance electrician make, and does it provide a sustainable lifestyle?
Uh, so Red Seal Electrician in the Okanagan, as far as I know, is about $28 an hour to 32. And then the further out you go, like down the coast, it's about 35, 40. And then the further north you go, it's like mid 40s, right? So I'm getting 42.75 right now. And there are chances of overtime, it's good benefits, solid work, consistent work. But yeah, it's
So
good.
that's where you make the big money, right? It's all that overtime, and yeah, you mentioned the further you move out and up north, yeah, you get paid more, but there's sacrifices there to be made too. And I mean, I did
Yeah,
the camp life, and it's a tough go, especially if you have a
it's
family. If you're single, it'd be
it's
a bit
tough.
different story. But yeah, you're giving up other things. If you're there short term, you have a goal to get in and out. Get ahead a bit and bring it back home and be able to be home with your family and whatnot. It's very important.
Yeah,
Uh,
is if you have your own company and you bid on your own contracts, the the pay increase is a lot more, a lot more. So
well,
that's where you want to go for each
and
and every one of your communities.
that's um, another thing that I'm glad you mentioned is that you eventually want to maybe go into being having your own company and whatnot. And most of my career I was self-employed, and I wish that upon most tradespeople to actually go out and do your own thing. Not everybody is an entrepreneur, and there are a lot of good employers to work for, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's self-employed. You're going out there, you're leaving your mark. You're making you're making the world a better place to live, and you're doing things your way. It's not all, it's not all easy and
No,
full of
it
roses.
comes with its, yeah,
Yeah, there's
it
a lot
comes
of
with its own problems.
long
Yeah,
hours and dealing with the tax man and the clients but yeah, it's definitely worth it to to go that next step, take that chance. It's sometimes it's
yeah.
motivational stress, right? It's gets the
The,
adrenaline
the
going. And
the other great thing about it is, like, if you're not successful with your business, you still have your Red Seal.
always have something to fall back on, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the sweet thing about it. I mean, you can get your ticket, decide you want to go do something differently, and now you want to go back to it. You're not going to start at the bottom again. You're going to start at a certain rate. You have that ticket. You have those skills the rest of your life,
yeah,
which is pretty incredible. Yeah, you know what? So I'm coming to the end of my questions. We really appreciate you taking out your time out of your schedule today to share with us your knowledge and your wisdom and help inspire some of the youth or some people, looking to, maybe go into the trades or looking for what career path they want to take. And, it's pretty exciting, the path that you're on right now and how the trades have sort of opened the doors for you. But, it's not easy, but it's something you enjoy, and I think that's the real key. And I just a chance to if do you want to add anything else before we close it off, or
just make sure whatever you pick, give it your 100%.